We're alive. Back with more Fire Emblem. Let me just ping Discord. And so, no one's here yet, but I've been having issues with Discord voice chat specifically on and off for the last week or so, and I'm not sure if it's simply a Discord problem with my computer, or a Discord with my internet, or what have you. But I'm gonna try to keep an eye on my connection for the stream, but it might be a little spotty, and if it gets too bad, then we might just call off and try again another day. Because like, Discord voice was bad yesterday, but not the day before, and it was bad on Wednesday, but not on Tuesday. So I don't know what's going on there. Hopefully it's just Discord and not actually a problem with my internet connection. But I think I might have done some of my preparations already. I should pull up that play. Reset that real quick. Just so that it goes into the archive and so people can follow it along. Following the successful expunging of the religious leader, we are celebrating at the castle, having claimed Radulost's tome, which is supposed to be the magical cure for Fordra's degeneration illness. That's not quite what he's trembling over. It makes sense lore-wise, but Radulus just having a Nosferatu animation was a little disappointing. As I mentioned last week, that was a bit of a hasty reaction, I think, but when I got to the end of the cutscene, I kind of think he was planning to do this regardless of what was it Celendry? Whatever the king whose actual reaction was. So I do think he has feelings for Fordra, but his feelings have been kind of twisted, possibly by the degeneration, possibly by some whisperings in his ear. I don't not entirely sure who. And also just some of the things he's seen. But I think at best I suspected a little something up. Either the king or he would end up being the villain. But I mostly based that on his sprite, his map sprite being a necromancer's sprite, a boss character. And the fact that his stats were kind of ridiculous as well kind of implied that he probably wasn't going to join me. Might have been one of these like Athos deals where like super late end game maybe, but the sense that kind of I actually was suspecting the king more so than Gilia himself. So, to a certain extent, this did surprise me. Though, a little bit, part of what it surprised me was also just how quickly it escalated. And then we get the exposition dump, kind of lore stuff, the secret history, which kind of cleared up some of my questions from earlier on, but not entirely. Though I do like the integration of something called the Fire Emblem into the story. That's something that most of the games try to do in the mainline series. A lot of them don't really succeed in giving it the weight that it really deserves. It doesn't come up in 7 at all because it plays a kind of a big role in 6, which is the sequel, or 7 is a prequel to 6 for anyone tuning in, following along that's not actually familiar with the Fire Emblem game line. Actually, I think the Fire Emblem is probably mentioned in 7, but it doesn't play any major role. Is that might be a typo for nausea? Or either that or it's a medical term medical version of the term that I am just not familiar with. I think the script has been really good about typos up to this point. Nothing jumped out at me in my current memory. If I caught anything in the past, it probably showed up in other streams. I'm not exactly reading for grammar, but again, I am a native English speaker, and I deal a decent amount with writing. I do a little bit of translating from Japanese on just as a hobby on my own. So I like to think that I have a decent ear for the language. So the fact that nothing that I've been going over or not too much that I've been going over script-wise has been particularly offensive in terms of mechanics, spelling, grammar, is a good sign. So this is one of the few explicit notes that Cassius has Fey blood. At least, again, recently, because I don't remember the specifics of the dialogue earlier on in the game. Parents were half-bloods. Means they're more diluted than half-bloods, unless that's just a general term for, yeah, partial, which is more likely the case. Then we get some Punnett Square magic. Oh, I think I missed it the first time, but this is the name drop for the whole hack, a Heaven's Bloom. I see. Interesting. The winter to our Heaven's Bloom. It's suddenly a bit more poetic than a lot of the dialogue had been so far, but I can see him being in that kind of mood. Unfortunately, his mistake is that in his twisted mindset, he has lost his ability to empathize. In which case he just entirely failed to consider Fordra's feelings. Though she's giving him the benefit of the doubt still here. Asking if he has maybe more of a plan. But at this point, when he reveals this, that's kind of where, if he really understood Fordra, he'd know she wouldn't agree to this. And then he shows his naivety in thinking that he's able to solve the world's problems. So I suppose one thing that I'm not quite clear on is how does Gilea's plan affect the Half-Bloods? Right. So him claiming to have accounted for this possibility is also kind of BS in that if he had expected that potential response, he would have realized that that was the only response she would give. I wonder if it might have been a little too perceptive of Janessa to have connected Gilia's current mental state with having to see his brother die, be killed in front of him. Everything was all according to the plan. Though, given how shifty he's been, Dio here, I've been kind of suspicious of him from the start, so that kind of checks out, at least. Though, his goal with it is surprisingly, like, it kind of seems selfish on the surface. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but he might also just be concerned over, at least partially concerned over the status of his household as a whole, and not simply of his own status. Yeah, willing to do whatever it takes to further House Malberry's status, rather than further his own status, which does make him a little better than just the power-hungry, the power seeker for his own ends. Can I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? I could potentially slip a archer in, maybe kill one of them. I don't have a brave bow, do I? I was starting to get brave weapons. I think I'm gonna get brave weapons this chapter. Anyway, this chapter starts off complete nonsense, and I expect it to preserve its nonsense throughout. Enemies have brave weapons, I'm not sure. Okay, there's a few drops. Not sure if anyone's typing comments and they're just not showing up, or if no one's said anything yet. I don't quite yet have a 100% confidence in. Here we are. Confidence in that the viewer count and the chat box initialize on their own. Though I suppose I've never really had an issue with it. I think I might have just imagined my issues with it previously. I mentioned at the start, but for your benefit, I was having connection issues with Discord on and off throughout this week, so it's been pretty stable so far, and I'm approaching having been streaming for almost 20 minutes now without any issues, so I don't expect any problems with my connection, but if it does drop, then we may have to see. Anyway, so we are basically surrounded here. I am not going to be fast enough to double. Most of my characters are not going to be fast enough to double Death Coil. And most of my characters are around that speed. However, the pair of them is going to be easier to dispatch than these two, so if I don't split up my forces, I'm leaning towards going to the right. The fact that these Gorgons have Wary Fighter does make them substantially harder to deal with, because I could technically get in range to attack, but I don't have any attacks that can deal 39 damage in one go. I'm close, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hans with the Tomahawk might be able to do it. Though, realistically, let's see, am I... Okay, so this one has to also take a mire. 22. Oops. And then this one has to take a silver bow. So I don't think there's I've got Rally Spectrum, but that's only +2, and I would need from Hans, I would need 4. And I would not be able to I can put the spur strength in range. 6. So I might be able to do that. Though that takes up these 3 slots, these 3 characters' moves on the first turn, already accounted for. The fact that this guy has a Brave Axe. So basically, anyone this Gorgon targets has to take 22 magic damage, 26 physical damage twice, and 29 magical damage afterwards in one turn with no supports. So wonder if I should just swap stone. Wonder if I could swap stone and then like rescue. It's like I was already forced to use a rescue staff charge last chapter, and if I use it again this chapter, then it'll only have 1 use left. But the other possibility, Fordra might be able to nuke one of them to death. We got 18 resistance. However, I've got a 17 might tome that's getting a ×3 multiplier against monsters. So yeah, I think that might be what I ought to try. I'm probably gonna nuke one of these 2 as well, and then Dancer and get in. However, I am going to need to rescue her after that, because she's not going to be able to stand up against a Brave Axe. And then I have to do something about this guy. So my opening turn might be split up, and then I might scramble to try to recollect myself, but doing so should help avoid the first batch of nonsense. It's a good thing we made Fordra a bishop, right? Gives her plus defense too, so she's actually got 14 defense. Oh, hold on, maybe she can survive a Brave Axe. 26. 26 actually isn't that high. 26, 14. That's what, 12 damage twice? Though it does kind of mean I can't use her to nuke down the Bale, because otherwise I'd be giving the Brave Axe a quad attack. And that's no good. Or I can just rescue her. Gotta reposition bot, right? Can we survive? Can Bray survive 26 times 2? 26 is 15. Yeah, he can take that. So I don't have to actually rescue her, I can just reposition her to safety. Except that she'll still be in range of this guy, so I have to block him off too. I'm basically working on my first turn before I start, but that is usually how that goes. Brave bow. Yeah, that's no good. 32 attack because he's got bow fair, but certain blow also means he's got like 160 hit. Do I have? Okay. Looks like all of these guys are dangerous too. And they can reach a lot of people. To 22. But if I put Taily here, she can give spur speed. Oh, there's the rescue staff. Henley. Okay. These are both offensive magic, right? Hold on, did they give... Mother. So, last chapter, every enemy had warding blow, plus 20 res. This chapter, every enemy has certain blow, so my avoid is basically useless. Almost every character, almost every enemy. So that's great. Not like I was super defensive to begin with. So this kind of thing just feels cheap. That's just approaching Awakening Lunatic Plus levels of nonsense with skills. Alright. And not everyone has pass, but some characters have. The skeletons look like they have pass. Which, there's only 2 of those right now. I don't know how many will appear later. I guess I'm not blocking them off, but I can chase them down. Taily can get in. They're not so sturdy. Well, actually, that's a lot of HP. That is 60 magic, 60 physical bulk. Though Taily should be able to kill with the silver lance or the spear. Spear's probably a better idea because we'll have magic users coming in next turn. Gargoyle? Oh yeah, Gargoyle has passed too. Again, there's only one of them and they're probably dying on the first turn. Though my bow users are already accounted for, annoyingly. He's got a spear. It's still kind of really frustrating to see enemies that have like resistance stats in like 12, 13, 19, 7. The generals more so, since they've got like normal GBA general resistance stats, whereas my characters are still stuck in um, Shadow Dragon resistance growths across the board. Like, I think 15. 15's as highest I go. And like I complained about that at the beginning, and I still don't like it, especially with how much magic is thrown against you. A lot of these situations are hard enough without having a magic tank option. No, I've made through, but again, I've on and off I've used save states just to get there, and I'm not sure if that's something you should be encouraging. Felix is basically just a rally defense bot, though he can't stay down here. Maybe I should have made him into a general. Figured, hey, it's GBA Fire Emblem hack. Mounts tend to be key there. But also forgot that Wary Fighter is pretty broke. Alright, I don't think this is going to... There's much else I can do with my formation or planning. Maybe... If things go awry on the first turn, I'll try the rescue strat. The one I talked about earlier. I do have status stabs as well, but with enemy resistances kind of growing over the chapters, those become less viable because, once again, enemy resistances grow, but mine don't, which means my staff hit rates are just going to get progressively worse, even as my characters supposedly get better. They're supposed to be getting better. Here we are. Windsword. Maybe Derek does want the Windsword. Actually, do I have any... no, actually, I don't have any other sword-locked characters that don't have access to a ranged weapon. Windsword might actually be good for Derek as well because his strength isn't super high, so something that can help him target resistance instead of defense. There were some cavalry on here, but there's I think more armored enemies. 2 uses on that. Only 2 uses on the other one, too. Not that I have much else. Marin's spear only has 6 on it itself. I do have a Brave Axe. Who wants, yeah, you want the Brave Axe. Wouldn't happen to have a Brave Bow I get this chapter. The Brave Sword I believe I also get this chapter. A bunch of stat boosters that maybe I should distribute. I think I was holding on to the Angelic Robe because most of my characters do have reasonably high HP already, so I can't really think of a good target for them for it, except maybe Gilbert. But that would be kind of admitting that he's a liability, which I suppose he is. Energy Ring and Secret Book and Body Ring. Who wants the Body Ring? I'd say Forger might want it, but 6 to 8 to as opposed to 4. At the same time, her speed's already so low that it's probably not going to make a whole lot of difference. Kina, maybe. My Constitution stats for most characters aren't actually that bad. Let me give it to Kina. Lets her use some... No, it's pretty much just the Armor Slayer that's weighing her down, so she may not need it. Alright, I may hold off on the Body Ring. But I still have an Energy Ring and a Secret Book to disperse. No, I was just mentioning how I would have liked Hans to have a little more strength. But before I get to that, let me see if anyone else... I want to avoid dumping stuff on Gilbert, just because he needs it to keep up. Jarek might be a good option. I think Janessa would probably be a good option for the Energy Ring. As with Cassius. So, since his job is basically to hit things really hard, I'm gonna help him do that a little bit better. I've got a Killer Axe I can give him, I've got a Tomahawk, and I've got a Sword Slayer. So I can't really afford to be conservative with my equipment anymore. I don't really have anything better for him to have. basically the same. And 9, 2. Given that she's got kind of low might, then I think I can take Divine. Hold Berserk in case of emergencies. Only one use on that Killer Lance. Replace it with something better. Don't have much. Gilbert. That may have to do. Alright, I've mucked around on the preparations for too long already. No wonder these chapters take forever. Alright, so I wanted to double and kill this guy. Six. So he's going to be able to come in and attack me no matter what. He's got pass as well, so I should probably just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Try to avoid being in range of the others. I had to kill this guy anyway. I'll kill you. I take a lot of damage as he's activating his concentrate as well. I actually don't do enough damage. Probably the support bonus. So I have to do this basically. How quickly am I going to have to restart this level? See that? She needs healing. Even with healing, might not. Alright, looks like I'm gonna have to try to wipe the people down here too. Hopefully reinforcements don't come in and ruin my day. I still don't have enough. Thought I calculated that out. probably mathed wrong. Alright, Sylvie can come in and help finish later after weakening. Try for a crit. So this is going to speed seal me. The Valdi's animation, if I recall. It is nice having Vordra be a delete button for monsters now, though. Wonder how long I get to keep Radulost. It seems a little too good for me to hold on. So what is this matchup like? 14, right? It'll probably be a little bit more than that, since I'm going to actually equip a bow. So I lose my weapon triangle advantage in that forecast in order to keep neutral against the Sword Slayer. But yeah, no nonsense here. So might I be able, I'm not fast enough. Alright, so. I actually need him to stay here to block the Cyclops. Gonna have to take one for the team. Now I can focus on over here. I was going to can't reach you. I am 1 damage short. How fast do I need to be? 14, 4, 7. So I need to be 11 speed or more. Horse Slayer coming up just barely short again. So actually, if I kill both of these guys, I don't need to heal Henley this turn. Though I still need to get through at least this guy without using Kina, Hans, or Jarek. This is already going to be fun. Cassius can almost one-round him. That may be worth trying to break out a stronger tome. I just need to make sure such a tome exists. I do have Excalibur now, right? That should be. And I believe it is a +5 speed, so I don't... It's weighty though. It's pretty heavy. Let's see. That's good enough. Does what I need it to do. Delete nonsense. needs the speed. And given the way this hack's been, I'll take all the luck I can get. 2, 3. I can actually use Kina to help loosen this guy up without sacrificing her support. 2, 3, right? Yeah. That hit me. Derek is kind of stuck throwing this here. Though, get lucky. They weren't lucky enough. 16% can hit me, but I can't crit with a 21%. Alright, so this is 1 point shy. Though, now that I've mostly removed a lot of the danger here, I can actually lunge. Lunge this guy out and not have to deal with getting in there. So, how much do you do? 10 defense, 20. No, she should survive as long as. Yeah. She should survive as long as I heal her. Which means that Cedri's action is spoken for. I can't kill this guy with Janessa. It's gonna take 2 people to kill. Actually, will it? It might not. It won't. Good. I may have to split up my paladins. Which means I should probably do this first. Take advantage of the support while I can. Actually, can Gilbert kill this guy? Gilbert can. And can Janessa kill this one? Nope. Definitely not. Alright. Trying to hold Hans to kill the swapped out Gorgon. Cedri needs to heal Kina. Orciel is doing the swapping. Gilbert's killing this guy. Felix is killing this one. Can Marin one-shot this guy? No. Unless he gets a crit. Main problem with being this white, this skeleton having certain blow and pass, and being able to one round kill Kina with the Brave effect. It's like I'm also. So let me run a quick calculation, see if Swordfair is factored into this screen here. 9, 18 should be 27. So yeah, it is. Alright. I just don't have enough actions to actually kill him. This was pretty much my only option here. Hopefully he doesn't miss. Brave Lance is basically the only way to make Felix useful on offense. Then Gilbert can come down, finish this guy off. I think I have to use the Silver Lance. But he should be out of range of the Brave Sword. Sedri is actually really tanky, so putting her Jarek shouldn't be in too much. Well, how much defense does he have? He's got 12. That's not a lot. Could just try to sleep. And 58 at almost point blank against a physical foe. That is the state of our resistance disparity. Alright. This is why I have to abuse save states. See, you guess this guy goes to sleep. Alright. I might not have anyone who can... There we go. There we go. So bottom's clear. Just need to finish you. Get you out of there. Where do I want to put the Gorgon? Here. So Orseal is going to have to take the bow attack. Actually, can I kill? I don't think I can kill with anyone else thanks to just overall tankiness. Very close here though. Since my original plan kind of fell apart, I wish I hadn't moved Jarek in so far. He could have used his spur again here. Because then I would have been able to finish off the Bale. Because as it stands, we're... So how bad is the seal speed gonna hit me? -6, so it's only gonna have 7 attack speed. So Orseal's at the mercy of RNG at the moment. GBA games do only require a speed difference of 4, so you might be getting doubled by a silver bow user. And there's not much I can do about it. I might be able to leave. Even if it's like I leave the gargoyle alive instead of the Bale, then Orseal might be okay. Well, Orseal's still gonna have to take the gargoyle's attack and the silver bow, but he won't be speed sealed. And then I'd have to use both of my remaining units to finish off this Gorgon. Great level up. Not so good level up. Or I can hope for 2 crits in a row. That's not a great matchup for Janessa either. Well, regardless, I'm still going to have to kill the Gorgon first, because I need to make sure the Gorgon is dead. Gorgon just does too much damage. Crit? No crit. Alright, and that's the end of the first turn. Oof. Alright, these guys move. Got 18% crit because of Death Blow and Anathema. Oh, he went down there. Well. And I still couldn't avoid losing someone on the first turn. Lovely. And the reinforcements start coming. It looks like I might have actually blocked a reinforcement. I may play on and see what I can do. Interesting to know that this guy doesn't move, which, well, wouldn't it really matter? You have only a silver bow, right? Oh, this is dirty. Brave weapons plus wary fighter. So they should be able to double me, but I can't double them. Yeah. It was dirty in Heroes, and it's still dirty now. So I've got a little bit more breathing room on this side. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow, of course. And a brave sword. Right, not a monster, not delete. Can I one-shot you? I can one-shot him. Do I need to? He's doesn't seem like he's doing anything. See, I never liked seal skills, and I kind of hate that they're even more punishing in this hack than they were in their original iteration. Where if you in Fates, if you at least killed the enemy, they wouldn't seal you. If you killed them in the same round that you engaged them, and that is simply not true here. So just any attempt to have any dealing with a character enemy with a seal skill gets you sealed. And that is way more punishing for the player than for the enemy. Alright, so who do I have tanky on this side? I've got Marin, and I've got Hans. So how does Marin fare? 10. Do we have the trifecta? Sword, spear, axe, spear, sword. So yeah. Once again, doesn't matter what weapon I equip, I'm going to be at a disadvantage against someone. There's only one axe, so I guess lance it is. I'm only taking 10 damage from it. %. I want to get his bow rank up, but I have so little room for weak hits. Pretty much gonna have to be dealing with the gargoyle with it. Oh wait, I needed Hans to block off. Great. Alright, so Cedri's now on tank duty. Taking as much damage as Marin did. Meanwhile, we will continue to sling sleep spells. Renewal, huh? Okay. Hang on, how much is that? 30%. 30% of 72 health. That's 21 health every turn. Yeesh. 6. 15, 18. Oh, hey, Sword Slayer, effective damage. I'll take it, assuming he doesn't have something silly like Vantage, which I don't see. was gonna pray for a crit, but I don't actually need it. That said, of course, of course. That is just far enough to reach. Which means I need to heal her now. Actually, well, Orseal can sleep as well. That might work. So between this and Orseal, I didn't run the exact numbers, but yeah, I'm just enough to kill. Has there been a Lance Reaver? I don't know if I've encountered one, to be honest. She has Kanto, but he doesn't. No, he does have Kanto. I might actually... Wait, she's still not strong enough to one-round him. Janessa is kind of quickly becoming deadweight herself. Her offenses just aren't... Her strength isn't enough to one-shot, and her speed isn't high enough to double. She's not quite tanky enough to frontline. Though this... not with Certain Blow. Do I try to deal with this Cyclops, or do I just run from him for now? If I want to move Felix over here to safety, then I might have to just run. I might have to actually deal with him. Not quite enough. So, alright. Heal up Henley. It's a sword, right? Henley and company can block off. Kind of banking on the assumption that that Cyclops isn't going to move next turn, which he very well could, but I don't think he actually... He didn't do anything in the previous turn. Actually, do I need to get Derek involved at all? I might not. Nope. Taylor can finish this on her own. Brant can actually kill the Sky, and do so from out of range of the Wyvern Knight, so I'm going to do that. the less magic that I have to deal with on the enemy's terms, the better. Oh, nice. Good dodge. So I may be able to head off this Brave Axe instead. So, delete. This is almost like Druid Sophia with Apocalypse levels of overkill. Might be able to bait him into going over here. Then figure out what to do with Janessa. So Kina's speed problems have kind of made her not that great of a dodge tank to begin with, but actually I have to remember that she has Life Taker as well. I potentially could have had her heal herself. Or 19 damage. Well, 19 is more than 16. Ugh. At the very least, they get stuck there. So they don't have to sustain any further attacks. I couldn't dodge that. Couldn't dodge either of those. That was a sizable jump in damage. Okay, yeah. I mean, I know the enemy have certain blow, but that just increases their chances, not actually great. not actually guarantees hit, unless I have to reread it and it's like certain blow plus some nonsense. Yeah, that's just 40. Siege tomes? More. Oh, now we've got siege tomes on the move. In order to head them off, I have to go into attack range of the boss. So I can longbow this guy. I think I'm gonna just put that warrior to sleep. So, you know, the siege tomes need certain blow as well. Alright, you gotta believe it. Now I can just... Then again, you've got that spur, strength spur. Strength spur might be important. Cedri needs healing. Hey, an enemy without a like top tier spear, top tier weapon or top tier throwing weapon or brave weapon. Might be able to tank that. 17 to 14. Okay, should be alright. Unfortunately, this side doesn't have quite as appropriate of an easy of an answer to the bales as the other side. Actually, yeah, gonna have to. It's like I'm on chapter 16 and I'm burning legendary weapons out of necessity. Cedri may be stuck taking this damage again. I have to deal with this guy before he wakes up too. I have a... 16. That brings him down to 33-23. Can I then... I can't. Alright, so the iron bow is a little more reliable hit rate here. Sedri definitely needs health. I'm gonna need to get her more health than that. Fortunately, Janessa can take care of this before he heals himself. I'm gonna leave the hero in front of Marin alone. He does more damage on retaliation because of strong riposte. And at this point, I am just stalling. What if I put the one right in front of me to sleep? He can't attack, the others can't get in. All according to plan. Alright, who needs... Oh wait, I was putting warrior to sleep. And I can get this close to do it. That's a nice 100% hit rate. Or I could just throw stuff at him. Or I could just throw stuff at him. Derek can't kill. Derek can get very close to killing, but he's not there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, he's not going to be able to get close enough to support Grayet anyway. 6, 7, 8. They do have 8. No, they have 7. Okay. So that's a problem. So I actually can't do anything about this bolting this turn as much as I want to. Bolting gets to have its way with me, though. Fortunately, as long as I heal Derek, there shouldn't be anyone in grave danger. Kinda depends on how I can deal with... Alright, longbow it is. Keep being forced to use the longbow to stay safe. Guess I can just barely dance outside of its range. Sure, we can rally. It's about as much, do about as much as anything. So Marin's passive wore off when he damaged this guy the previous turn, which means he lost 2 attack and defense, I believe. Hey, I complain about res a lot, but seeing HP and only that is not real heartening. Oh yeah, certain blow. So Jarek might be in danger from the bishop up there. Oh, we're getting res over here too. Probably because someone's gonna die. I haven't been save stating every turn like I should be. Well, if I survive this turn, I know to do so. Okay, 19. Good. Fortunately, the light tome usually doesn't hit too hard. Alright. Oh yeah, I was so caught up in the other one that I missed Henley dodging that bolting. Quite welcome. What do you have? Brave bow. Fortunately, it also appears that the reinforcements paused that turn. Support, Derek. Sure. Alright. Can I do anything over here? So I can't actually reach this guy. Yeah, it's not safe to lunge him in. Just gotta pull back, heal up. Kina could have actually handled this guy by herself. She is a very good user of the Brave Sword. Not sure what to ditch here, though. She, actually, of any character, she's probably the one that can afford to get away with no vulnerary the most. She has a self-heal. So I really want to get rid of this guy. Once we thin some of these ranks, he's gonna be a headache. Suppose I could try putting some more people to more of this group to sleep. Maybe like the Brave Lance. I do need to heal first. Technically, anyone can hold that spot. Oh. Only 9 damage. Alright, how much does Cassius do? 20, enough to kill. That's good. Can he handle the... Only has 10 resistance. Still. I believe I have Forger, yeah, Forger on the far side. I may just try to make a play here. How much? I can actually kill. Tempting. Tempting indeed. How much does the Brave Sword Knight? 6 damage? And then how far away can I get? Not very. The Orciel is it 24 damage? Well, if Jarek only took 19 damage with 5 resistance, then 12 resistance even with weapon triangle disadvantage. The bishop probably isn't going to kill Orciel even from his wounded state. So if I can take out Sage, Marin, ooh, nice. Clutch dodge, even more so than Henley before. And Orciel can heal himself. Make you equip Chrysalis, go into supply. Dump Meyer for the time being. Grab Kina's vulnerary. Just want to get rid of him because he's been kind of menacing, and I've got finally have some free actions. I may try to replay this off stream just to keep Gilbert alive, just because I need all the bodies I can get. Plus he had an A support, which has been really useful. But I'm not gonna restart now. I'd rather use the silver sword than the spear. But because having actually played the level or having played the first turn, I should say, I made plans original on the first turn that didn't quite end up working out. Um, so now I kind of know some things I'd do a bit differently. That probably would have ended with me in a more favorable position. Got the Brave Lance, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, that should be out of range. Can take some pot shots here. Thanks to Kanto Plus. Get rid of you. Most unnecessary of crits. Well, it did save me a use on the killer bow though. But I got a bad level up off of it. Not enough power. Just enough power. And that should be out of range of Dio's bolting as well. Alright, I'll take the strength and the resistance. Who needs healing? Anyone? Felix needs some health. Janessa and Orciel both could use stuff, but I don't think I can get in range. This is about as close as I can get. Actually, I'm just barely in range. Though I don't think they're in as much danger now. So I'll just go for Felix. Fix this Felix. Ouch, but not deadly. Well, I may sit around a little bit and let Sylvie's bonds heal. Actually, there's only one injured person over here, so we should be okay. It's been at least 2 turns now without reinforcements. There actually were, I think there was only 2 turns of reinforcements this chapter in the beginning so far. Maybe 3. I've got a brave weapon too. Do need to do something about you. Unfortunately, he's covered by the ranges of literally everyone up here, so I can't swap him out. Oh, that's a nice level up. She actually has 20 speed now. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should give her the body ring. Actually take advantage of that speed. So she still hits like a wet noodle though. She only has 15 might. Magic. Light tomes are still mostly low damage. Anyway, I should be able to one round now. Yeah. I can use brave weapons too. So basically with everything taken care of, I can actually go right up the center if I really want to. Which I might. So how much does this overlap? Disgustingly. I might have some more sleep stabs to be casting. Yeah, Luna. So this is a compromise between FE7 and FE8 Luna. I think its hit rate might still be a tad high. It's also almost though that my hit rate complaint's kind of pointless in this particular case because certain blow is a thing for the enemies in this chapter. Meyer. This is just okay. I could also potentially throw my own boltings at these guys, though I'm not sure that's worth it. Then I have those 2 chests to take care of as well. Ow. Yeah, he hasn't really been getting much experience, has he? Can I reach him with, like, anything? Can you rescue yourself? Yeah, okay. How far do I have to go back to get all the way back here? So, like, he's not slowed down by this at all. So he's got he's got a bolting with 19 attack speed in unlimited uses and 140 hit. Alright, so I do have to. Two, three, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, longbow range should be far enough back. And he can help himself as well. I actually want to rescue here. So let me just mark his range. What's her... Oh, she's got a movement rally. So what are in the boxes? Legendary S-rank lance. Alright, it's just here. I guess this chapter is modeled, or is the same chapter, number-wise at least, that Erica and Ephraim get their legendary, their sacred twins. What am I going to do with an S-rank lance? So I have... Taylor can almost use... Oh, Henley can almost use it. Janessa can use it. And Marin can use it. I don't have it on me anymore. Anyway, Janessa is the safe zone outside of the boss's range. So if I do anything, it'll probably be from the outskirts. I just need to crowd around Sylvie. Let her bond skill do some passive healing while I'm shifting around my troops anyway. It's probably the sword. Oh, it's just a talisman. Any other drops here? Just the Luna. The Divine. Alright. So Janessa only, even with her special weapon, which is barely any uses left on it, is only matching Sylvie and Fordra, I believe. However, Fordra has weapon triangle disadvantage, so she should not be the one to test the waters. Oh, gross. He's got a seal res too, so he just does more damage after on subsequent hits. So every new thing I find disgusts me more. So I could try to, I could try a crit. Like, maybe I should wait until I have my dancer back up next turn so that I can just two-shot at least one of them. It's like, this is all pretty bad, but I guess if I can force it into just magical, then again, someone like Sylvie could be useful. Any other useful skills? I do have a skill rally. Yeah, his bolting is gonna outlast mine easily. He's got 20 resistance. I mean, the objective is to just kill the boss, but getting to him is not going to be easy. 18 defense. So it may be possible to have like Brayet. So 10 con. I should have a Brave Bow now. But if I snipe out this guy, I could have Brayet charge in and try to kill Dio. He might be fast enough. Excuse me. I might have to put... Let me see. I can run these numbers. I can also do them at the start of next turn. Anyway. So... minus 18. I've only got 19 strength, so he's basically just doing weapon might +1. Oh, a little bit more because of his support. I've got 2 supports actually. So, is it 38, 30, 39? Oh. Jarek? So, like, if I had a way to put Jarek here, Taylor here, Marin and Marin and Derek within 3 spaces. Either way, it does still hinge on taking out one of these generals anyway. So that is the place to start. Oh, I'm gonna have to dance and bolting again. But it'll be virtually full fates / heroes buff stacking in order to get even competitive with him. To be get him in, have any chance at like one rounding him. 5, 6, 7, 8. Fortunately, from the edge of Dio's range, I can move. Can Marin pick up? Marin cannot pick up Jarek. I can, however, smite Jarek further. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have a movement rally I can use as well. Since he doesn't move, I can't swap stone him. The res probably isn't worth anything. So Marin can move himself. Derek should be able to move himself. Close enough. Henley can drop Fordra for charm. I'll reposition Aminda around. Though it's going to be tricky to get her actually in range to do anything helpful. Yeah, I'm not quite counting on it. Do I have anyone who can pick up Jarek? Because if so, then I can smite Aminda instead. Braid can pick up Jarek, but that's not helpful. Braid is the only one. Go figure. So let's try the crazy plan. Also, how much damage does 13 is not actually that awful. If I need a little bit of a push, then that is something I will consider. All right, so 3. It's as close as I can get. I want to kill you anyway. It's actually not an awful. I did save state this right. It's actually not a terrible matchup. Forger needs to be here. Taylor needs to be here. I nixed his crit entirely. That's good. But Druid has had Spur Defense, which means he was boosting Dio's defense. I don't need that. Luna is interesting. It's a little late to try to do anything with it now. This would not do enough damage to kill anyway. It doesn't really matter too much what I do here. Jarek's actually just here to provide a spur strength. Nice dodge. It's almost close enough. We don't have this is reposition. Yeah, we don't have shove, right? This is advantage. We used smite already. Felix, this is just a pivot. Actually, I'm gonna need to dance spray it just to get him close enough. To which ends? Still won't kill, but does get him a little closer to that S rank in bows. Oh, I miscalculated and it did kill. Good. So admittedly, I've actually carved into this bunch better than I was expecting to be able to. However, like 4 or 5 magic users is still gonna be a real pain. Derek just needs to get close enough to provide his support. And so what does this matchup look like? Pretty good. Not quite there yet, but I do happen to have a bolting to throw. This is what Cassius thinks of your nonsense, Dio. There's a lot of planning that was ultimately deemed largely unnecessary. Alright, so next question. Can I get this divine? I think I can. should go around, yeah, Miracle. We get Luna. Don't believe I can move anyone else close enough to hit anyone. So... Alright, that's it for this chapter. And we got a awful level up to cap it off. Alright. Labrys. Selene. That was his name. So yeah, I will take a gander at that again on my own time. See if I can get Gilbert through in one piece. It'll be tricky. But as usual, I'll check out this start a little bit. You can always question the king. Oh, she's broken now too. Alright, that's not really too much of a setup. Just forging through more people. Rune sword. Slow burn. So, one thing I'm not sure about as far as how this skill works is... yeah, so I'm not sure if it goes up to 15 and then disappears after the 15th turn, or if it goes up to 15 and stays at 15 for the entire rest of the chapter. Sword fair. So she's like, aside from being a pain and a half to actually hit, she's actually not super threatening. Mostly because Rune Sword robs Sword Masters of one of their most dangerous aspects, is their ability to crit, their high native crit rate. So what's this chapter? Everyone has darting blow? No. Okay, so we don't have a universal skill. Though a bunch of characters that shouldn't have Darting Blow have Darting Blow, so that is actually the trend going on here. Actually, it's just a mishmash of enemies having skills that they shouldn't have. All kinds of gross over against, like Miracle and Wary Fighter. We've got more. Oh, these guys at least don't have Siege Tomes, but still 3-range lunge druids. Life and Death. This is Life and Death is such a enemy skill in these games. It's useful, has its uses in Heroes, but it functions differently there too, and the losing units is not nearly as big of a deal as it is. But looks like Darting Blow is the flavor of this chapter. Everyone is 5 speed faster on initiation. Lots of Wary Fighter, though. Even the warriors have Wary Fighter. So it's actually, I see what it's doing. It is a mix of enemies being too fast and then enemies making everyone too slow. So darting blow is the enemies being too fast, Wary Fighter being too slow. Meanwhile, this chapter map is actually a tower map that is virtually untouched. This section down here has been opened up a little bit, but outside of this corner, it's exactly a tower map. All of the breakable walls already broken. Is there any interesting drops? At least there seems to be slightly fewer brave weapons and more silver. Silver is a bit easier to deal with. It just hits hard. And I not seeing any Wary Fighter brave weapons. The brave weapons with Darting Blow is also kind of scary because it pushes them a little bit closer to quad speeds. But yeah, it does seem like tone-wise, unless we seem to be rising to the climax here, which does imply that I don't think I'm going to be getting any new units, which again makes any loss that I end up sustaining all the more brutal for it. Silver Herb, brave. Oh, here's a brave bow Wary fighter or warrior. Wind swords are a little nasty in their own too, because they are. I do have a bunch of flyers on my team. Fortunately, though, no siege tomes amongst the starting enemies. And tons of choke points, actually. So this should be considerably easier than the previous chapter, even with reinforcements, which there might not be too many of. There's only one staircase. Oh, two. There's one over here. And just it seems like there's a lot here, but the enemy density is actually a little bit lower, in part because of the way that the enemies were packed last chapter. But yeah, as predicted, the previous chapter was thoroughly filled with nonsense. Fortunately, the reinforcements did cut me a little bit of a slack by being brief, and once I survived them, survived being the best verb I could. Actually, I can't even say survived because I lost someone. But once I got through that, the chapter basically amounted to cleanup and how do I deal with this, which I managed to make it through without taking a single Bolting X spell, which I guess I can consider a win. And I suppose I have mixed feelings about the kind of nonsense I was able to set up on that last turn as well. I don't know if that justifies the enemy philosophy that was plaguing me previously, especially since it didn't stop me from using it at the very end. But I don't know. It's something that may be part of the inherent skill system in general. It's something that I think the community may need to deal with, whether or not the kind of hectic reinforcement schedule that's this hack the enemy placement and reinforcement schedule that this hack tends to employ in an effort to kind of keep the player constantly off balance and unable to play at their own pace, that prevents the player from being able to set up high-powered plays like I did at the very end there. If that's the right answer to counter that kind of strategy remains to be seen. It is a way. I don't quite like it, but I also just finished dealing with it, so I'm admittedly biased on that point. And if I give it some more time and then think of it in retrospect, I might have a different opinion. But the opening few turns of the last few chapters have not been real enjoyable. Once I actually start like the cleanup phase, where I can actually start getting a leg up on the chapter, then I tend to have a bit more fun with it. But feeling like I'm scrambling and never really in control of the chapter for the first few turns has always been a bit frustrating for me as a player. And sometimes it's appropriate for the lore. Like the previous chapter, we were kind of caught unawares. We probably weren't going in, or Cassius might have to a certain extent expected something foul. I believe, if I recall off the top of my head, he did request that all of his companions be allowed to join him at the banquet. But we were still technically ambushed there, so having a frantic opening turn or two was lore-wise okay, but the chapter that I keep referencing, going back to, I don't remember how many ago it was now, probably 4 chapters ago or so, but lore-wise, Cassius volunteering to take a commando team to attack the mountain fortress to release Jarek, the berserker. That chapter, the way I was forced to play it in order to keep all of my characters alive, it amounted to turtling in the opening area for like the majority of the chapter, and I don't think that was paced well, um, for reasons that I elaborated more on in that particular chapter. But yeah, I'm going back to it as an example of where the lore didn't match the gameplay experience, contrary to where I thought the previous chapter was a bit more of an acceptable case. Um, in that chapter, Cassius was supposed to be ambushing the enemy, so we should have had it probably should have played a bit more like a offensive sweep, instead of forcing the player to play incredibly defensively the entire time. And I think some of the other chapters suffered from this a little bit as well. I'm generally more forgiving of chaotic earlier chapters and earlier in the hack, earlier in the game, because those tend to be the times when the main characters are on the run from something, kind of trying to figure out what's going on. They don't have all the information. They're still weak, inexperienced. Those sorts of things. So in those cases, I think lore generally can support a gameplay philosophy, game design philosophy that plays out in that way, having more chaotic early turns and barely scraping through by the skin of your teeth. But it gets kind of exhausting when that's every chapter as well. And for me, I like the feeling of progression from my characters. That's one of the big reasons I like Fire Emblem a little bit more than Advance Wars, where I feel like my characters get stronger each chapter, and when the enemy's scale and the enemy positionings is in such a way that the actual performance in combat of my characters is only barely better than it was when I first got them. It doesn't feel like I've been progressing as much, and this game doesn't do as bad of a job of that as some of the other ones I've played. That's one of my big complaints with the earlier build of Staff of Ages, and I'm pretty sure I've talked about this before as well, and it'll come up when I reattempt that hack, and eventually that does have new versions. And I admit that it is a personal opinion in that regard towards game design, but I would be surprised if I was the only one who felt that way, so I think it's worth saying. This one, I think I've kind of equalized out on this one. I am starting to grow. Like, Braid especially has been doing exceptionally. Fordra's actually doing really well. Look at that. She capped her magic. Cassius is doing alright, but .3D hacks do exist. 3DS game hacks. They I would check Serenes Forest. I actually do not know a lot about them because I don't run custom firmware on my 3DS. I did try it at one point. I wasn't able to get it running well myself at the time, but that was also 3-4 years ago. So the hacking community has just been evolving over the years, and the more time people have had to tinker with the hardware, the better they get at hardware and software, the better they get at manipulating it. So I'm sure there are better, easier ways of getting hacking into the 3DS games and doing stuff with them. I know that there are hacks for the the GameCube and Wii games as well that look kind of interesting. Nothing quite as robust as what they can do with the GBA games in terms of editing sprites and custom animations and stuff, but there's been some retooling, rebalancing stuff on that regard, and people are working on it. They're doing stuff. There should still be a link to FEE3 below the stream player. The FEE3 is Fire Emblem E3, basically a showcase, all done online, of a lot of the premier stuff that hackers are doing in this community. It's usually around the end of the year, and the one that I linked down below is to 2018's FEE3, which I still actually have not gone through everything in there yet, but there's always cool stuff in there. I've tinkered around a little bit with some of the older hacking technology for the GBA games myself. I messed around with Nightmare. I took a randomized FE6 ROM and actually went into the data and tried to balance it around the new classes, so it wasn't entirely random, but you had every character in different classes and could still have an enjoyable experience with it without things like breaking or being unplayable. But I have had a passing interest in kind of going back into that with the new technology that has been invented for GBA game hacking. I just haven't had the time for it. But yeah, hacking is cool. The community is basically like like this Heaven's Bloom, basically making new Fire Emblem games. A lot of them do a fantastic job of capturing the essence of the original Fire Emblem games in their gameplay, game design. Sometimes they do new things with it, like the skill system that wasn't in the GBA games nearly to the degree that it is in these hacks. And they're really evolving the experience that Nintendo and Intelligent Systems started for them. But anyway, I'm actually done playing for tonight. Was just wanted to empty some of my thoughts since I haven't been as analytical about some of them the past few weeks, talking about things that I liked or didn't like about the design choices in the hack, because these are technically made by amateur game designers. So if the hack maker does eventually come across my playthrough, the feedback is hopefully helpful. I did actually get a response, nothing elaborate, from the maker of Immortal Sword, who found my streams, and they thanked me for my thoughts. So anyway, again, thanks for tuning in, and especially for listening to me ramble at the end here, and go on a little too long at the beginning as well. But yeah. So next, they should be fine for next week. I don't think. Yeah. And well, I'll be back next week. Stream some more. Tackle this chapter. If it's not too dumb, then I might be able to fit in another one. The end game ones are always just kind of long. And for anyone living in the U.S., we're got daylight savings in an hour or two. So PSA. Anyway, good nights. Thanks again. And see you next week.